Have you ever found yourself wide awake at 3 a.m., staring at the ceiling, heart pounding with worry or pain? If so, this message is for you. Waking up in the middle of the night isn't just a coincidence. It can feel like your soul is calling out for something deeper. In those quiet hours when the world is silent and your thoughts are loud, you're not alone. This is the moment to reach for healing, peace, and answers that can only come from above. But what do you pray for at 3 a.m.? You pray for calm in your storm, strength for your struggles, and guidance for the road ahead. Why does this matter? Because how you respond in these silent hours can change the course of your whole day and even your life. Most people toss and turn, letting anxiety win. But you can choose a different path. How? In this video, I'll walk you through a simple, powerful prayer to speak when you wake up at 3 a.m. A prayer for healing, protection, and restoration. Together, we'll invite peace back into your heart and find comfort no matter what the night brings. There is a reason you wake at 3 in the morning. There is a purpose behind those eyes opening in the darkness when the rest of the world lies silent and still, and this reason has nothing to do with insomnia, nothing to do with stress, nothing to do with the troubles of your day catching up with you in the night, for what is happening in those sacred hours is something far more profound, far more purposeful, far more powerful than any medical explanation could ever contain. You are being called, you are being summoned, you are being invited into the most receptive state your mind will ever know, and the one who calls you is not an external voice, but the infinite intelligence that dwells within your own subconscious mind, the divine presence that never sleeps, the healing power that works ceaselessly on your behalf when you learn to cooperate with its wisdom. The veil between your conscious mind and your subconscious mind grows thin in those pre-dawn hours. The fortress of doubt and fear and rational resistance that guards your waking thoughts surrenders its watch, and in that surrender lies your greatest opportunity for healing, for transformation, for the complete renewal of your body, your mind, and your entire life. Most people fight against waking at 3 in the morning. They toss and turn, they reach for sleeping pills, they curse the darkness and the restlessness that will not let them rest, never knowing that they are pushing away the very answer to prayers they have been praying, never understanding that what seems like a curse is actually a blessing wrapped in darkness, a gift delivered in the silence when no one else is listening. The ancients knew this secret. The mystics of every tradition understood that the hours between 3 and 5 in the morning hold a special power, a unique receptivity, a doorway into dimensions of consciousness that remain closed during ordinary waking hours, and they rose in those dark hours to pray, to meditate, to commune with the infinite, because they knew that what they impressed upon their minds in those sacred moments would manifest in their lives with extraordinary speed and certainty. You have been given this same opportunity. You have been awakened not by accident, but by design, not by disorder, but by divine order. And tonight, when your eyes open in the darkness and the clock reads 3 in the morning, you will know that you stand at the threshold of healing, at the doorway of transformation, at the entrance to a power that can remake your body, restore your health, and renew your entire being from the inside out. The hour of 3 in the morning has been called the hour of divine communion by spiritual teachers throughout the ages, for there is something about this time that separates it from all other hours, something that makes the connection between your conscious desire and your subconscious creative power stronger and clearer than at any other moment in the cycle of day and night. The world sleeps, the noise of human activity falls silent, the collective consciousness of millions of minds rests in the stillness of slumber, and in this great quieting something opens, something becomes available, something that was obscured by the busy thoughts of the day now stands revealed in the peaceful emptiness of the pre-dawn darkness. You are not alone when you wake at this hour. You are joined by everyone who has ever sought healing through the night, by every soul who has ever turned to prayer in the darkness, by every seeker who has discovered that the silence of 3 in the morning contains a presence, a listening intelligence that responds to the sincere call of the human heart. The Scriptures speak of those who rose before dawn to pray, of those who sought the divine in the watches of the night, of those who understood that certain hours carry certain powers, and that the wise person learns to work with these rhythms rather than against them. You may have thought your waking was a problem to be solved, a symptom to be treated, a disorder to be corrected. But I tell you now that your waking is an invitation to be accepted, a door to be opened, a gift to be received with gratitude and expectation. The subconscious mind does not operate on the same schedule as your conscious awareness. It does not punch a clock. It does not take breaks. It works continuously through every hour of day and night. But there are times when it is more accessible, more impressionable, more ready to receive the instructions that will reshape your health and your life. And 3 in the morning is the peak of this receptivity, the summit of this openness, the moment when the path between your spoken word and your manifested reality becomes shortest and clearest. What you pray at 3 in the morning travels deeper. What you affirm in those silent hours takes root more firmly. What you command in that sacred darkness manifests with greater speed and greater certainty than anything you could attempt during the busy, distracted hours of daylight. The subconscious mind is always listening, always recording, always creating your experience according to the impressions it receives. But there are times when this listening becomes more acute, when the recording becomes more indelible, when the creative response becomes more immediate and more powerful, and the hour of 3 in the morning represents the very peak of this heightened receptivity. During your waking hours, your conscious mind stands guard like a sentinel at the gates of your deeper awareness, questioning every thought, doubting every possibility, filtering every impression through the screen of logic and reason and past experience. And while this conscious filtering serves important purposes, it also blocks the healing commands you wish to deliver to the creative intelligence within. But at 3 in the morning, this sentinel relaxes its watch. This guard steps away from its post. This filter becomes thin and permeable, and the instructions you speak in those quiet hours pass directly into the subconscious without resistance, without argument, without the 1,000 objections your daytime mind would raise against the possibility of your healing. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had suffered from a painful condition in her joints for 11 years, that she had tried every treatment her doctors recommended, that she had spent thousands of dollars on remedies and therapies that brought only temporary relief, and nothing had changed the fundamental pattern of her suffering. Dr. Joseph Murphy asked her what thoughts she entertained when she woke in the night, and she confessed that she lay awake rehearsing her pain, cataloging her symptoms, telling herself the story of her disease over and over in the darkness. And he explained to her that she was using the most powerful hour of the night to reinforce her illness rather than to heal it. He instructed her to use those waking moments differently, to speak health to her body, to affirm wholeness to her cells, to command her joints to function perfectly as the infinite intelligence within knew how to make them function, and within 3 weeks her pain began to diminish. Within 2 months it was gone entirely, for she had learned to use the sacred hour for healing instead of for harm. The greatest mistake you can make when you wake at 3 in the morning is to fight against it, to resist it, to treat it as an enemy to be conquered rather than an ally to be embraced. For in that resistance you push away the very healing power that has awakened you. You slam the door on the divine appointment that has been scheduled on your behalf. Most people who wake in the pre-dawn hours immediately begin a battle. They squeeze their eyes shut and demand sleep. They count backwards from 100. They try every technique they have ever heard for forcing themselves back into unconsciousness, never realizing that something far more valuable than sleep is being offered to them, something that could change their health, their circumstances, their entire life if they would only stop fighting and start receiving. You have been conditioned to believe that waking at night is a disorder, a dysfunction, a sign that something is wrong with your body or your mind, and this conditioning has blinded you to the truth that lies behind your waking. The purpose that calls you out of sleep at this specific hour, the opportunity that presents itself in the darkness while others dream unaware. I am not telling you that all nighttime waking is spiritual invitation. I am not suggesting that every disturbance of your sleep carries sacred meaning, but I am telling you that when you wake consistently at 3 in the morning, when something pulls you from slumber at this particular hour, night after night, you are being given a gift that millions would treasure if they understood its value. The healing power within you is calling you to attention. The infinite intelligence that maintains your body and knows how to heal every cell is asking for a conversation. The subconscious mind that creates your experience is standing ready to receive new instructions, and all that is required of you is to stop fighting, to stop resisting, to stop treating this waking as a problem and start treating it as the answer to prayers you may have been praying for years without seeing results. The moment you shift from frustration to gratitude when you wake at 3 in the morning, you activate powers that were lying dormant, you open channels that were blocked by your resistance, you signal to the subconscious mind that you are ready to receive what it has been waiting to give you. Gratitude is not merely a pleasant emotion. It is not simply a nice feeling to cultivate. It is a creative force that shapes your experience and determines what your subconscious mind will produce in your life. And when you greet your pre-dawn waking with thankfulness instead of irritation, you set in motion a chain of events that leads inevitably toward healing. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had suffered from a chronic illness that had persisted for 7 years despite every medical intervention, that he had lost hope of ever knowing health again, that he had resigned himself to a life of limitation and pain. And then he learned about the power of 3 in the morning, about the receptivity of the subconscious in those sacred hours, and he began to practice what Dr. Joseph Murphy taught him. Instead of groaning when his eyes opened in the darkness, he whispered, "Thank you." Instead of reaching for medication to force himself back to sleep, he reached for the healing presence within his own consciousness. Instead of rehearsing his symptoms, he began affirming his wholeness, and within 6 weeks he noticed changes that no treatment had ever produced. Within 3 months, his doctors were astonished by his improvement. Within 6 months, they could find no trace of the condition that had dominated his life for 7 years. The secret was not complicated, the technique was not mysterious. He simply learned to meet his waking with gratitude, to use those receptive hours for healing affirmation rather than fearful repetition. And his subconscious mind, which had been building his illness night after night according to his fearful instructions, began building his health according to his grateful commands. You can do what this man did. You can transform your 3 in the morning from a curse into a blessing. You can convert your nighttime waking from a symptom of disorder into a doorway of healing. Your body is not a static machine that operates the same way throughout every hour of the day and night. It is a living, rhythmic, cyclical organism that moves through phases of activity and restoration, through periods of breakdown and rebuilding, through times of cleansing and times of regeneration, and the hours between 3 and 5 in the morning represent the peak of this regenerative cycle, the summit of the body's natural healing activity. Scientists have discovered what the mystics always knew, that cellular repair reaches its highest intensity in the pre-dawn hours, that the body produces its greatest quantities of healing hormones and regenerative compounds, while the conscious mind sleeps and the subconscious mind takes full command of the physical organism. Your liver cleanses itself most efficiently during these hours. Your muscles repair themselves most completely during these hours. Your immune system strengthens itself most powerfully during these hours. And when you wake at 3 in the morning, you wake at the very moment when your body's healing intelligence is working at its fullest capacity. This is not coincidence. This is divine design. This is the infinite wisdom that created your body, arranging the perfect opportunity for you to cooperate with the healing process that is already underway in every cell of your being. When you speak health to your body at 3 in the morning, you speak to a body that is already engaged in healing. You add your conscious intention to the unconscious restoration that the subconscious mind is already directing. You pour the fuel of faith onto the fire of regeneration that is already burning in your cells. The prayer you pray at this hour does not start the healing process. It accelerates a process that has already begun. It amplifies a power that is already at work. It directs an intelligence that is already creating new cells to replace old cells, already sending repair crews to damaged tissues, already manufacturing the compounds your body needs to restore itself to wholeness. You are not praying into emptiness when you pray at 3 in the morning. You are praying into a body that is primed for healing, prepared for restoration, ready to receive your commands and execute them with all the power of the infinite intelligence that dwells within every cell. The first step of prayer when you wake at 3 in the morning is not to speak, but to be still, not to ask, but to acknowledge, not to reach outward, but to recognize what is already present within you. For the healing power you seek is not distant, not separate, not something you must summon from afar. It dwells within you now. It has always dwelt within you. It is closer to you than your own breath and more intimate than your own heartbeat. When your eyes open in the darkness, resist the temptation to immediately begin speaking. Resist the urge to rush into affirmations and commands. Instead, lie perfectly still and acknowledge the presence of the infinite healing intelligence within your own being. Say within yourself, "There is a presence within me that knows how to heal. There is an intelligence within me that created my body and knows how to restore my body. There is a power within me that is greater than any disease, greater than any limitation, and this power is awake and active right now in this very moment." This acknowledgement is not mere words. It is recognition. It is the conscious mind bowing to the superior wisdom of the subconscious. It is the limited self acknowledging the unlimited self. It is you turning your attention from the problem to the solution, from the disease to the healer, from the darkness to the light that shines in the darkness. The stillness you create in those first moments is not empty. It is full. It is pregnant with possibility. It is the fertile ground into which you will plant the seeds of your healing affirmations. Without this stillness, your prayers become frantic. Your commands become pleading, and the subconscious mind responds not to the words you speak, but to the feeling behind them. And if the feeling is fear disguised as faith, the subconscious will create more of what you fear. But when you begin with stillness, when you begin with acknowledgement of the presence within, your prayers arise from confidence instead of desperation, from knowing instead of hoping, from certainty instead of doubt. The second step of prayer when you wake at 3 in the morning is to speak directly to your body, to address your cells, your organs, your tissues, your systems, as the master addresses the servant, as the king addresses the subjects of the kingdom, as the captain addresses the crew of the ship, for your body is not your enemy. Your body is not working against you. Your body is a faithful servant waiting for clear instructions from the master consciousness that dwells within. You must understand that every cell in your body contains intelligence. Every organ possesses awareness. Every system operates according to the commands it receives from the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind takes its orders from you, from your habitual thoughts, from your repeated words, from the impressions you make upon it through feeling and conviction. When you speak to your body at 3 in the morning, you speak at the hour when the body is most ready to listen, most prepared to obey, most capable of translating your mental commands into physical reality. Speak with authority, not with begging. Speak with certainty, not with hope. Speak as one who knows that the power to heal dwells within and needs only direction, not persuasion. Say to your heart, "You beat with perfect rhythm. You pump my blood with effortless efficiency. You are strong and healthy and whole." Say to your cells, "You regenerate perfectly. You reproduce according to the divine pattern of health. You cast out everything that does not belong, and you build everything that serves my perfect wellness. Say to any organ that has troubled you, you function perfectly, you know your job, and you do your job. You are healed and whole and operating exactly as the infinite intelligence designed you to operate. These are not wishes, these are commands. These are not hopes, these are instructions, and the subconscious mind that controls every function of your body will receive these commands and execute them with the same faithfulness with which it beats your heart and digests your food. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had been diagnosed with a growth in her body that her doctors called serious, that they had scheduled surgery and prepared her for a difficult recovery, and she was filled with fear when she first heard the news. But then she remembered what she had learned about the power of the subconscious mind, about the healing intelligence that dwells within, about the sacred opportunity that presents itself when we wake in the pre-dawn hours. And she determined to use this knowledge before submitting to the surgeon's knife. Every night when she woke at 3 a.m, and she woke at this hour consistently, as if something were calling her from sleep, she would lie still and acknowledge the presence of the infinite healer within her. And then she would speak to the cells of her body, commanding them to normalize, commanding the growth to dissolve, commanding her body to return to its perfect pattern of health. She did not beg, she did not plead, she did not bargain with God, she simply stated the truth of her being as a perfect expression of divine life. She affirmed that the same intelligence that created her body knew how to heal her body. She commanded her cells to obey the pattern of wholeness rather than the pattern of disease. Night after night she continued this practice, and during the day she refused to entertain thoughts of fear, refused to dwell on the diagnosis, refused to give power to the problem when all her power was needed for the solution. When she returned to her doctors for the examination before surgery, they found nothing. The growth had dissolved, the condition had reversed, there was no need for surgery, and they had no medical explanation for what had occurred. But she knew the explanation proposed. She understood that the commands she had given to her subconscious mind at 3 a.m. had been received and executed, that the healing intelligence within had responded to her faith, that the body had obeyed the Master, who had finally learned to speak with authority. There is power in the spoken word, there is power in the verbal command, but there is even greater power in the word that is spoken beneath speech, in the command that is issued in the silence of the mind, in the instruction that travels from your consciousness to your subconscious without ever passing through your lips. And when you pray at 3 a.m, you need not speak aloud. You need not whisper. You need not make any sound at all. For the subconscious mind hears your thoughts more clearly than it hears your words. The reason spoken affirmations work is not because of the sound they make in the air. It is because speaking helps the conscious mind focus, helps the thoughts become clear and definite, helps the impression become strong enough to penetrate the subconscious. But for those who have learned to concentrate their thoughts, the mental command is even more powerful than the verbal command, for it travels directly to its destination without the intermediate step of speech. At 3 a.m, when the house is silent, when your spouse sleeps beside you, when you do not wish to disturb the stillness of the night, you can pray with perfect effectiveness without making a sound. You can command your body with complete authority without moving your lips. You can impress healing upon your subconscious mind through thought alone. Simply think the words with clarity and feeling. Simply form the commands in your mind with the same conviction you would have if you spoke them aloud. Simply direct your mental attention to the part of your body that needs healing and think the healing into that place. The thought sent with feeling penetrates deeper than the word spoken without conviction. The mental image held with certainty impresses the subconscious more powerfully than the affirmation repeated mechanically, and in the stillness of 3 a.m, your thoughts carry more weight, your mental commands have more force, your silent prayers have more power than they would at any other hour. Fear is the great enemy of healing. Fear is the wall that blocks the flow of restorative power. Fear is the poison that contaminates the very prayers you offer for your health. And when you wake at 3 in the morning, fear often wakes with you, whispering its dark suggestions, magnifying your symptoms, convincing you that the darkness around you reflects a darkness within your body that will never lift. You must understand that fear and faith cannot occupy the same space. They cannot coexist in the same mind at the same moment. One must yield to the other. One must be cast out so the other can take full possession, and the choice of which will rule your mind at 3 in the morning is entirely yours, entirely within your control, entirely a matter of decision and practice, and persistent refusal to entertain the thoughts that destroy your peace. The Scriptures tell us that perfect love casts out fear, and this is not merely a poetic phrase. It is a precise statement of mental and spiritual law. For when the mind is filled with the love of health, the love of life, the love of the infinite healing presence within, there is no room remaining for fear to occupy. There is no vacancy where fear can take up residence. There is no opening through which fear can slip and begin its destructive work. When you wake at 3 in the morning and feel fear rising in your chest, do not fight the fear directly. Do not wrestle with it. Do not give it the attention that strengthens it. Instead, turn your mind immediately to the presence of love within you, to the healing power that is love in action, to the infinite intelligence that created you and sustains you and knows how to heal you completely. Say to yourself, I am surrounded by the healing presence. I am filled with the healing presence. I am one with the healing presence, and this presence is love. And this love casts out all fear. And in the absence of fear, my body heals, my mind clears, my spirit soars, and I am restored to the wholeness that is my birthright. As you repeat these words with feeling, you will notice the fear beginning to fade. You will feel the grip loosening. You will sense the darkness lifting, for fear cannot stand in the presence of faith. Fear cannot survive in the atmosphere of love. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had been diagnosed with a serious condition of the heart, that his doctors had given him grave warnings and prepared him for the worst, that he lived each day with the shadow of death hanging over him. And he asked if there was anything the power of the subconscious mind could do for someone whose body had already been so damaged. Dr. Joseph Murphy told him that the same intelligence that built his heart in his mother's womb knew how to rebuild his heart now, that the creative power that formed every chamber and valve from nothing could certainly repair what had been damaged, that no condition was beyond the reach of the infinite healing presence when a person learned to cooperate with it fully and faithfully. He instructed this man to wake at 3 in the morning, and if he did not wake naturally, he was to set a gentle alarm, and in those sacred hours he was to speak to his heart as a loving master speaks to a faithful servant, commanding it to heal, commanding its cells to regenerate, commanding its rhythm to normalize, commanding its strength to return. The man was skeptical at first, for he had placed all his faith in medicine and doctors and external treatments, but he was desperate enough to try anything. And so he began the practice of 3 in the morning prayer, waking each night to commune with the healing presence within, speaking to his heart with authority and love. After 3 weeks, he noticed he could walk farther without becoming winded. After 6 weeks, his energy returned in a way he had not experienced in years. After 3 months, his doctors performed new tests and found remarkable improvement. And after 6 months, they told him his heart showed no sign of the damage that had been so evident before. The man continued his 3 in the morning practice for the rest of his life, not because he still needed healing, but because he had discovered a communion with the infinite that he treasured above sleep itself. The most powerful form of prayer is not the prayer that asks, not the prayer that begs, not the prayer that pleads with the infinite for healing, but the prayer that assumes, the prayer that accepts, the prayer that gives thanks for the healing as though it has already been received. And this prayer of assumption is the master key that unlocks every door the subconscious mind has closed. You must understand that the subconscious mind does not respond to your words. It responds to your feelings. It does not hear what you say. It feels what you assume. It does not create according to your requests. It creates according to your expectations. And if you assume you are sick, if you expect to remain sick, if you feel the reality of sickness in the depths of your being, then sickness is what the subconscious will continue to produce, no matter how many prayers for healing pass through your lips. But when you assume you are healed, when you expect health to manifest, when you feel the reality of wellness flowing through every cell of your body, the subconscious receives this assumption as a command and sets about making it manifest in your physical experience. At 3 a.m, when the conscious resistance is low and the subconscious receptivity is high, the prayer of assumption penetrates deeper than at any other hour. The feeling of health you generate impresses itself more firmly on the creative intelligence within. The assumption you hold becomes the blueprint from which your body will build itself throughout the remainder of the night. Do not pray as one who hopes to be healed someday. Pray as one who is healed now. Do not affirm health as a future possibility. Do not feel your way toward wellness. Feel yourself already dwelling in wellness, already possessing wellness, already radiating wellness from every pore of your being. This is not pretending. This is not denial. This is the operation of spiritual law that creates according to assumption, that manifests according to feeling, that produces in the outer world whatever you hold as true in your inner world. The affirmations you speak at 3 a.m. should be simple, clear, direct, and specific, for the subconscious mind responds best to commands that leave no room for misinterpretation, no space for confusion, no possibility of the message being received in any way other than the way you intend. Do not speak in complicated sentences. Do not use words you do not fully understand. Do not try to impress the infinite with your vocabulary. Speak as a clear-minded master speaks to a willing servant. Speak in the language of certainty and authority and love. Say to yourself, I am healed, I am whole, I am healthy, I am strong, and feel the truth of these words as you speak them. Feel them penetrating into your subconscious. Feel them taking root in the creative soil of your deeper mind. Say to your body, every cell in my body is healthy. Every organ in my body functions perfectly. Every system in my body operates in harmony, and the infinite healing presence within me now restores me to complete wellness. Say to any specific area that troubles you, my back is healed and flexible and strong. My heart beats with perfect rhythm and power. My stomach digests perfectly and nourishes me completely. My lungs breathe freely and deeply and supply my body with abundant life. Repeat these affirmations slowly. Repeat them with feeling. Repeat them as though you are gently impressing a pattern upon soft wax, for that is precisely what you are doing. You are impressing a pattern of health upon the soft and receptive subconscious that will then harden this pattern into your physical experience. Do not rush through your affirmations as though they were a chore to be completed. Speak them as though they were seeds being planted in sacred ground. Speak them as though each word carried the power of creation itself. Speak them as the commands of one who knows the laws of mind and uses them with wisdom and faith. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had lived with chronic pain for so many years that she could not remember what it felt like to be free of it, that she had tried every remedy, every treatment, every therapy that promised relief, and nothing had broken the pattern of daily suffering that had become her constant companion. Dr. Joseph Murphy explained to her that her subconscious mind had accepted chronic pain as her normal state, that it was faithfully reproducing what it believed to be her natural condition, and that no external treatment could permanently override the internal blueprint from which her body was being built and rebuilt day after day. He taught her about the sacred hour of 3 a.m, about the receptivity of the subconscious in those pre-dawn hours, about the power of simple affirmations spoken with feeling and faith, and he instructed her to begin a practice of nighttime prayer that would rewrite the blueprint her subconscious had been following. She began that very night, waking at 3 in the morning and lying still in the darkness, acknowledging the presence of the infinite healer within her, speaking to her body with authority and love, affirming that she was free of pain, that her nerves were calm and peaceful, that her body was at ease, that she moved through life with comfort and grace. For the first week she noticed nothing different, but she continued, for she understood that years of negative programming could not be erased in a few nights. In the second week she thought perhaps the pain was slightly less intense, though she could not be certain. In the third week she woke one morning and realized she had slept through the night without discomfort, and then she noticed that her days were easier, that the constant ache had faded, that she could move in ways she had not moved in years. Within 2 months she was free of the pain that had dominated her life, and she told Dr. Amanex Joseph Murphy with tears in her eyes that she had been given back a life she thought was lost forever, all because she learned to use the sacred hour for healing instead of sleeping through the opportunity night after night. Some people wake at 3 in the morning once or twice and think nothing of it. They return to sleep and forget the interruption by morning. But others wake at this hour night after night, week after week, month after month, pulled from slumber with such consistency that they begin to wonder if something is wrong with them, if some disorder has taken hold, if some malfunction in their body or mind is responsible for this persistent disturbance of their rest. I tell you now that if you are one of those who wakes repeatedly at this sacred hour, you are not disordered, you are not malfunctioning, you are being called, you are being summoned, you are being persistently invited to an appointment that the infinite intelligence within you has scheduled on your behalf. The Spirit does not give up easily. The divine presence within you does not take no for an answer. The healing power that dwells in your subconscious mind will continue to wake you until you answer the call, until you respond to the invitation, until you finally understand that this waking is not your enemy, but your greatest ally in the quest for health and wholeness. Think of a loving parent trying to wake a sleeping child for something important, something wonderful, something the child would never want to miss. The parent calls gently at first, then more insistently, then refuses to stop until the child opens their eyes and receives the gift that awaits them. And this is precisely what the infinite intelligence within you is doing when it wakes you at 3 in the morning. It is calling you to receive a gift you have been praying for, perhaps without even knowing you were praying. Every night you sleep through this sacred hour without recognizing its purpose is a night when the gift remains unopened. Every night you fight against the waking is a night when you push away the answer to your prayers. Every night you reach for sleeping pills to force yourself back into unconsciousness is a night when you reject the very healing you have been seeking through every other means. But tonight can be different. Tonight you can answer the call. Tonight you can recognize the persistent waking for what it truly is, the voice of the infinite saying, "Wake up, I have something wonderful to give you. Wake up and receive your healing." There is a condition that blocks the flow of healing more completely than any physical obstruction, more thoroughly than any medical condition, more absolutely than any bodily dysfunction, and this condition is unforgiveness, the holding of resentment, the refusal to release those who have hurt you from the prison of your ongoing judgment. You may pray at 3 in the morning with perfect technique. You may speak affirmations with feeling and faith. You may follow every instruction given in this teaching, but if you harbor unforgiveness in your heart, you build a wall that your healing cannot penetrate. You create a blockage that your affirmations cannot dissolve. You maintain a condition in your consciousness that your subconscious interprets as a command to remain in suffering. The connection between unforgiveness and disease has been recognized by every spiritual teacher throughout the ages. For when you refuse to forgive, you hold yourself in bondage to the past, you chain yourself to the person who hurt you. You carry the weight of the offense everywhere you go, and this weight presses down upon your body, upon your cells, upon your immune system, upon your capacity to heal and regenerate and be restored. Before you speak your healing affirmations at 3 in the morning, Before you command your body to be whole, before you impress health upon your receptive subconscious mind, you must first clear the channel through which healing flows. You must first release every person you have been holding in the prison of your resentment. You must first forgive completely and freely everyone who has ever hurt you in any way. Say in the silence of your pre-dawn prayer, "I forgive everyone who has ever hurt me. I release all resentment. I free everyone from my judgment. I hold nothing against anyone. And as I forgive, I am forgiven. As I release, I am released. As I set others free, I set myself free, and in this freedom my body heals." You will notice as you practice this forgiveness that your prayers become more powerful, your affirmations penetrate deeper, your healing accelerates, for you have removed the obstruction that was blocking the flow. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had suffered from insomnia for over 15 years, that he woke every night at approximately 3 in the morning and could not return to sleep no matter what he tried, that he had consulted sleep specialists and tried medications and practiced every technique recommended to him, and nothing had broken the pattern that was slowly destroying his health and his sanity. Dr. Joseph Murphy smiled and asked him what he did during those hours when he could not sleep, and the man said he lay in bed feeling frustrated, worried about the toll the sleeplessness was taking on his body, anxious about how tired he would be the following day, angry at his mind for refusing to let him rest. Dr. Joseph Murphy told him that he had been given a gift and had spent 15 years rejecting it, that the waking which seemed like a curse was actually an invitation, that the hours he had wasted in frustration could have been hours of healing, of transformation, of communion with the infinite power within him. He taught this man to use the waking hours differently, to greet the 3 in the morning with gratitude instead of frustration, to speak healing affirmations instead of rehearsing worries, to commune with the divine presence instead of fighting against the wakefulness. And the man, though skeptical after so many years of failed remedies, agreed to try this new approach. The first night he woke at 3. Instead of fighting for sleep, he prayed for healing. Instead of dwelling on his tiredness, he affirmed his energy and vitality. And something remarkable happened. He felt a peace he had not felt in years, a calm that seemed to come from somewhere deep within him. And when his alarm went off in the morning, he realized he had returned to sleep without effort and had rested more deeply than he could remember. Within a month, his insomnia was transformed. He still woke at 3 in the morning, but now he welcomed it. Now he used it. Now he treasured these hours as the most sacred of his day, and his health improved in ways that astonished him and his doctors alike. The healing power that responds to your 3 in the morning prayers does not operate only on the body. It operates on the mind with equal effectiveness. It heals emotions as readily as it heals organs. It restores peace as completely as it restores physical function. For the same subconscious mind that controls your bodily processes also generates your emotional experiences, and the laws that govern the healing of the body are the very same laws that govern the healing of the mind. If you suffer from anxiety, you can speak peace to your mind in those sacred pre-dawn hours. If you struggle with depression, you can command joy to rise within you. If you are burdened by grief, you can affirm comfort and restoration. If you are paralyzed by fear, you can declare the presence of perfect safety and security within and around you. The technique is the same whether you are healing body or mind. You acknowledge the presence of the infinite within you. You speak directly to the condition with authority and love. You affirm the state you wish to experience as though it is already your present reality, and you do this at 3 in the morning, when the subconscious is most receptive, when the impressions you make are most permanent, when the commands you give are most likely to be obeyed. Say to your anxious mind, "Peace fills me now, calm flows through every thought, tranquility is my natural state, and I rest in the perfect security of the infinite presence within me." Say to depression, "Joy rises within me now. Light fills my consciousness. Happiness is my birthright, and I claim it fully in this moment." Say to grief, I am comforted now, I am healed of this sorrow, I am restored to wholeness, and I move forward in peace and gratitude. Say to fear, I am safe, I am secure, I am protected, I am held in the loving arms of the infinite, and nothing can harm me. These are not empty words. These are commands that the subconscious will obey. These are instructions that will reshape your emotional experience. These are seeds planted in the most fertile hour that will bloom into the emotional health you desire. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had suffered from anxiety for as long as she could remember, that her earliest memories included the feeling of dread that seemed to have no cause, that she had lived her entire life with a weight on her chest and a tightness in her throat, and a constant fear that something terrible was about to happen. She had tried every treatment her doctors recommended. She had taken medications that dulled her mind without removing her fear. She had seen therapists who helped her understand her anxiety without being able to free her from it, and she had resigned herself to living out her days in the prison of her own nervous system. When she learned about the power of the subconscious mind, about the receptivity of the 3 a.m. hour, about the possibility of impressing peace upon the deeper intelligence that generated her emotions, she felt a spark of hope for the first time in years. A tiny flame that perhaps this approach could succeed where all others had failed. She began that very night, setting her alarm for 3 a.m, waking in the darkness and lying still, acknowledging the presence of the infinite peace within her, speaking to her mind with authority and love, affirming that she was calm, that she was secure, that she was free of all anxiety, that peace flowed through her thoughts like a gentle river. The first few nights she felt nothing different. Her anxiety was still there when she woke in the morning, still pressing down upon her through the day, but she continued her practice because she understood that years of anxious programming could not be erased in a few sessions. After 2 weeks, she noticed that her mornings were slightly easier. After a month, she realized that hours would pass without the familiar weight on her chest. After 3 months, she woke one day and discovered that the anxiety was simply gone, that she felt a peace she had never experienced in all her years of living, that she was finally free. She continued her 3 a.m. practice, not to heal anxiety that no longer existed, but to maintain the peace that had become her new normal, to deepen the communion with the infinite that had given her back her life, to ensure that she never returned to the prison from which she had been so miraculously released. The spoken word has power. The mental command has power. But there is a third instrument of prayer that carries even greater force, that impresses the subconscious mind with even greater depth, that communicates with the healing intelligence within in a language more direct than any words could ever be. And this instrument is the mental picture, the visualization, the image held in the mind with clarity and feeling and sustained attention. Your subconscious mind thinks in pictures more than it thinks in words. It responds to images more readily than it responds to language. It creates according to the patterns it sees more faithfully than according to the commands it hears. And when you learn to visualize at 3 a.m, you add a dimension to your prayer that multiplies its effectiveness beyond anything words alone could achieve. When you wake in those sacred pre-dawn hours, after you have acknowledged the presence of the infinite within you, after you have spoken your affirmations of health and wholeness, close your eyes and see yourself as you wish to be. See yourself radiant with health. See yourself moving through life with energy and vitality. See yourself doing the things that illness has prevented you from doing. See yourself laughing and working and living as someone who is completely whole. Do not see yourself getting better. Do not see yourself in the process of healing. Do not see yourself moving toward health at some future time. See yourself already healed, already whole, already in full possession of the vitality you desire. For the subconscious mind does not understand process. It understands only the picture you give it, and if you give it a picture of healing in progress, it will keep you permanently in progress, never arriving at the destination you seek. The visualization you create at 3 in the morning penetrates more deeply than at any other hour. The mental picture impresses itself more firmly on the receptive subconscious. The image you hold becomes the blueprint from which your body rebuilds itself through the remaining hours of the night. See the diseased organ as perfectly healthy. See the damaged tissue as completely restored. See the malfunctioning system as operating with flawless precision. See every cell glowing with light and life and perfect wellness, and hold this picture with the same certainty with which you would hold the memory of something you have actually experienced, for to the subconscious mind, the imagined and the remembered are equally real, equally powerful, equally capable of shaping your physical experience. The healing power that flows through you at 3 in the morning is not limited to your own body. It is not confined to your own cells. It is not restricted to your own healing alone. For the infinite intelligence that responds to your prayer is the same intelligence that dwells within every living being. And when you pray for another person at this sacred hour, you access on their behalf the same creative power you access for yourself. You can heal your loved ones through your 3 in the morning prayers. You can speak health into their bodies. You can visualize their restoration. You can command their cells to regenerate. And the subconscious mind that receives your prayer does not ask whether the prayer is for you or for another. It simply responds to the impression you make, to the feeling you generate, to the picture you hold, and creates accordingly. When someone you love is suffering, when illness has taken hold of a person dear to you, when you watch helplessly as disease progresses in the body of your spouse or child or parent or friend, you are not truly helpless. You have access to a power that can operate through you on their behalf. You can become a channel through which healing flows to them even without their knowledge or participation. At 3 in the morning, after you have prayed for your own health, turn your attention to the person you wish to heal. Hold them in your mind with clarity and love. See them as perfectly whole. See their body functioning flawlessly. See their face radiant with the glow of complete wellness. Speak to them in your mind as though they could hear you. Tell them they are healed, they are whole, they are healthy, they are restored, and feel the reality of their healing with the same conviction with which you feel your own. The prayer you pray for another at this sacred hour travels through the same channels as the prayer you pray for yourself. It impresses itself upon the same universal subconscious that connects all minds. It activates the same healing intelligence that dwells within them as it dwells within you, and the results can be just as powerful, just as complete, just as miraculous as any healing you have witnessed in your own body. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that his wife had been diagnosed with a serious illness, that the doctors had given her very little hope, that she had fallen into despair and no longer believed that recovery was possible, and he asked if there was anything he could do to help her when she had lost the faith to help herself. Dr. Joseph Murphy told him that his faith could operate on her behalf, that his prayer could reach her subconscious mind even though her conscious mind had given up hope, that he could become a channel through which healing flowed to her even without her knowledge or participation. He instructed this man to wake at 3 in the morning, to pray first for his own peace and strength, and then to turn his attention to his wife sleeping beside him, to see her as perfectly healed, to visualize her body restored to complete function, to speak to her in his mind with authority and love, declaring her wholeness, affirming her health, commanding her cells to regenerate according to the divine pattern of perfect wellness. The man did as he was instructed, waking each night at 3 in the morning, praying silently while his wife slept unaware beside him, holding the picture of her perfect health with unwavering faith, refusing to accept the verdict of the doctors, refusing to agree with the despair she had fallen into, holding a vision for her that she could not hold for herself. Within weeks he noticed small improvements, a little more color in her face, a little more energy in her movements, a little more light in her eyes, and the improvements continued week after week, month after month, until her doctors could not explain what was happening. until they ordered new tests and found results that contradicted everything they had predicted, until they finally admitted that whatever was occurring was beyond their understanding. The man never told his wife about his 3 a.m. prayers until she was completely well, until her healing was beyond doubt, and when he finally told her what he had been doing, she wept with gratitude, realizing that his faith had carried her when her own faith had failed, that his prayer had healed her when she had lost the ability to pray for herself. You may think that effective prayer at 3 a.m. requires hours of effort, that you must sacrifice your entire night's rest to receive the healing benefits of this sacred practice, that only lengthy sessions of affirmation and visualization will produce the results you seek. But I tell you that this is not so, that the power of your prayer lies not in its duration, but in its depth, that 15 minutes of focused communion with the infinite will accomplish more than hours of distracted repetition. The subconscious mind does not measure your prayer by the clock. It does not count the minutes you spend in affirmation. It does not require lengthy sessions to be convinced of your sincerity. It responds to the feeling behind your words, to the conviction in your heart, to the clarity of your vision, and these can be conveyed in a brief period of intense concentration more effectively than in extended periods of wavering attention. When you wake at 3 a.m, you need not spend hours awake to receive the full benefit of this sacred time. You need only spend 15 to 20 minutes in focused, feeling-filled prayer, and then you may return to sleep knowing that the impressions you have made will continue to work through the remaining hours of the night. Begin with a moment of stillness, acknowledging the presence of the infinite within you, then speak your affirmations slowly and with feeling, taking perhaps 5 minutes to impress health upon your subconscious mind, then spend another 5 minutes visualizing yourself in perfect health. Seeing the picture clearly and feeling it deeply, then close with a prayer of thanksgiving, giving thanks for the healing that is already accomplished, and then release the prayer completely and allow yourself to drift back into restful sleep. This is the rhythm of effective 3 a.m. prayer, brief enough to be sustainable, deep enough to be transformative, simple enough to be practiced every night without exhausting you, powerful enough to produce the healing you seek. Do not turn your prayer into a burden. Do not make it a marathon that leaves you more tired than when you woke. Let it be a gentle interlude, a sacred pause, a brief communion that refreshes you even as it heals you. There are mistakes that people make in their 3 a.m. prayers that not only reduce the effectiveness of their practice, but actually reverse its power, that not only fail to produce healing, but reinforce the very conditions they are trying to overcome. And you must understand these mistakes so you can avoid them and pray in the way that produces results, rather than the way that produces more of what you do not want. The first mistake is begging, approaching the infinite as though it were reluctant to heal you, as though you must persuade it, as though you must convince it to do what it does not wish to do, and this begging communicates to your subconscious mind not faith but doubt, not expectation but fear, not certainty but desperation. The second mistake is pleading, repeating your requests with increasing intensity as though the problem is that you have not asked loudly enough or often enough, and this pleading tells your subconscious that you do not believe your prayer has been heard, that you doubt it will be answered, that you expect failure rather than success. The third mistake is arguing with God, presenting your case as though before a judge who must be convinced, listing all the reasons why you deserve to be healed. And this arguing reveals that you see the infinite as something separate from yourself, something that must be persuaded, rather than the very power within you that awaits only your direction to begin its healing work. The correct way to pray at 3 a.m. is to command with quiet authority, to state your health as fact rather than request it as favor, to assume your healing rather than hope for it, to speak as the master who knows the servant will obey rather than the beggar who doubts the king will respond. Say, I am healed, not please heal me. Say, my body functions perfectly, Not "I hope my body will get better." Say "Health fills every cell," not "I wish health would come to me." And say these things with the calm certainty of one who knows the law and trusts the law to operate. For the law of mind always operates. It cannot fail. It cannot refuse. It can only respond to the impressions you make, and if your impressions are doubtful, your results will be doubtful. But if your impressions are certain, your results will be certain. A woman said to Dr. Joseph Murphy that she had practiced 3 in the morning prayer for several months without any improvement in her condition, that she had woken faithfully each night and prayed with all the earnestness she could summon, that she had followed what she thought were the correct techniques, and yet her body remained unchanged, her symptoms persisted, her healing seemed no closer than when she had begun. Dr. Joseph Murphy asked her to describe exactly how she prayed, what words she used, what feelings accompanied her words, what mental state she occupied during her pre-dawn sessions. And as she described her practice, he immediately recognized the error that was blocking her results. She told him that she woke each night and began by telling God about her condition, describing her symptoms in detail, explaining how long she had suffered, asking why this illness had come upon her, pleading for relief from the pain that dominated her days, begging for some sign that her prayers were being heard, and then she would fall back asleep exhausted from the emotional effort of her pleading. Dr. Joseph Murphy explained to her that she had been using the most powerful hour of the night to reinforce her illness rather than to heal it, that her detailed descriptions of symptoms were impressing those symptoms more deeply upon her subconscious mind, that her pleading and begging were communicating doubt rather than faith, that her prayers were making her condition worse rather than better. He taught her the correct method, to wake and immediately acknowledge the presence of the infinite healer within her, to speak health rather than describe disease, to affirm wholeness rather than catalog symptoms, to command with quiet authority rather than beg with desperate emotion, to assume her healing rather than plead for it. She changed her practice that very night, and though it felt strange at first to pray in this new way, she persisted, and within 3 weeks she noticed the first signs of improvement. Within 2 months her condition had changed dramatically. Within 4 months she was completely healed. The mistake she had made is the mistake most people make, the error of praying about the problem rather than praying from the solution. And when she corrected this error, her results came swiftly and completely. When your healing manifests, when the condition that drove you to prayer has dissolved, when your body functions again as it was designed to function, you may be tempted to abandon the practice that produced your restoration, to sleep through the 3 in the morning hour now that the crisis is past, to return to ordinary life and forget the sacred communion that saved you, but I tell you that this would be a mistake, that the 3 in the morning practice is not merely a remedy for disease, but a way of life, that prevention is as powerful as cure, and that the health you have gained can be maintained and strengthened through the same practice that produced it. The person who exercises only when they are trying to lose weight and stops as soon as the weight is lost will soon gain the weight back. The person who eats well only during illness and returns to poor habits when health returns will soon be ill again. And the person who prays at 3 in the morning only during crisis and abandons the practice when the crisis passes will soon face another crisis. But the person who makes 3 in the morning prayer a permanent practice, who continues the sacred communion even when there is no specific condition to heal, who uses this powerful hour not only for restoration but for maintenance and enhancement, this person builds a foundation of health that becomes stronger year after year. This person creates a reservoir of vitality that protects against future illness. This person establishes a relationship with the infinite healing presence that continues to bless them in ways they cannot even imagine. Your 3 in the morning practice should become as natural to you as breathing, as essential to your routine as eating, as permanent a part of your life as sleeping itself, For in this practice you have found not merely a technique for healing, but a pathway to a life of continuous wellness, of ever-increasing vitality, of deepening communion with the source of all health and all life. Do not abandon what has saved you. Do not neglect what has healed you. Do not forget the sacred hour that restored you, but continue to wake, continue to pray, continue to commune with the infinite, and watch as your health grows stronger and your life grows richer with each passing year. Every session of 3 in the morning prayer should close with thanksgiving. Every communion with the infinite healing presence should end with gratitude. Every pre-dawn conversation with your subconscious mind should conclude with heartfelt appreciation for the healing that is already accomplished. For gratitude is not merely a pleasant emotion to be felt after blessings have arrived. It is a creative force that accelerates the arrival of the blessings you seek. It is a signal to the subconscious mind that you have received what you requested. It is the final seal upon your prayer that ensures its manifestation. When you give thanks before the healing has appeared in your body, when you express gratitude for wholeness while symptoms still persist, when you appreciate the restoration that your senses cannot yet detect, you perform an act of faith that impresses the subconscious mind more powerfully than any other single thing you could do. For you are telling the creative intelligence within you that the matter is settled, the prayer is answered, the healing is complete, and all that remains is for the outer manifestation to catch up with the inner reality. Say at the close of your 3 in the morning prayer, "Thank you for my perfect health. Thank you for my complete healing. Thank you for the restoration that is already accomplished in my body. Thank you for the infinite power within me that knows how to heal and is healing me now." Say these words not as hope, but as recognition, not as request, but as acknowledgement, not as future anticipation, but as present awareness. For in the realm of the subconscious mind where your healing is created, time does not exist as your conscious mind understands it. And the thankfulness you express for completed healing is received as confirmation that the healing is indeed complete. This gratitude close is not optional. It is essential. It is the element that transforms your prayer from a wish into a command, from a possibility into an inevitability, and without it your prayer remains suspended, unfinished, waiting for the seal that only thanksgiving can provide. So end every session with thanks, close every communion with gratitude, complete every prayer with appreciation, and watch as your healing accelerates beyond anything you had imagined possible. A man told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he had been practicing 3 in the morning prayer for over 10 years, that what had begun as a desperate attempt to heal a serious illness had become the foundation of a life transformed in every dimension, that the practice which had saved his body had also renewed his mind, restored his relationships, increased his prosperity, and deepened his spiritual understanding beyond anything he had thought possible. He said that in the beginning he had woken at 3 in the morning focused entirely on his physical condition, praying only for the healing of his body, thinking of nothing but the restoration of his health, and this focus had produced the results he sought. His condition had reversed, his body had healed, his doctors had been astonished by his recovery. But he had not stopped when the healing came. He had continued the practice, and as he continued, he discovered that the same techniques that healed his body could transform every other area of his life, that the subconscious mind that restored his cells could also improve his circumstances, that the 3 in the morning hour which had given him back his health could also give him prosperity, harmony, success, and peace. He began to use a portion of his pre-dawn prayer time for his work, affirming success, visualizing achievement, commanding his subconscious to guide him to opportunities and ideas that would increase his income and expand his influence, and his career flourished in ways that amazed everyone who knew him. He used another portion for his relationships, affirming love and harmony with his wife and children, visualizing his family united in joy and mutual support, and conflicts that had festered for years dissolved as though they had never existed. He used another portion for his spiritual growth, seeking deeper understanding, requesting guidance, asking for wisdom, and insights came to him in those sacred hours that changed his entire perspective on life and death and the meaning of existence. He told Dr. Joseph Murphy that he could not imagine life without his 3 a.m. practice, that he treasured those pre-dawn hours above all other hours, that the man he had become through 10 years of faithful practice bore little resemblance to the desperate, sick, confused person who had first woken in the darkness, seeking nothing more than relief from pain. You have been given the sacred key. You have been shown the secret that can transform your health, your life, your entire experience of being alive. You have received the knowledge that millions would treasure if they understood its value. And now the only question that remains is whether you will use what you have been given. Tonight, when you wake at 3 a.m, and you will wake, for something within you has been stirred by these words. Something has been awakened that will not let you sleep through the sacred hour as you have slept through it before. Tonight, when your eyes open in the darkness, you will know that you stand at the threshold of healing, at the doorway of transformation, at the entrance to a power that can remake your body, restore your health, and renew your entire being from the inside out. Do not push this opportunity away. Do not fight against the waking. Do not reach for pills or distractions that will force you back into unconscious sleep. Instead, rise to meet the invitation, embrace the gift that is being offered. Accept the healing that has been prepared for you since before you were born. Lie still and acknowledge the presence of the infinite within you. Speak health to your body with authority and love. Visualize yourself whole and radiant and alive with perfect wellness. Release all fear and unforgiveness that blocks the flow of healing power. Give thanks for the restoration that is already accomplished, and then return to peaceful sleep, knowing that the impressions you have made will work through the night to rebuild your body according to the pattern of perfect health. This is your invitation. This is your opportunity. This is your moment to claim the healing that has always been available to you, waiting only for you to learn how to receive it. The infinite intelligence that created your body knows how to heal your body. The subconscious mind that maintains every function of your organism stands ready to receive your commands and execute them with perfect faithfulness. The sacred hour of 3 a.m. opens before you like a doorway into dimensions of healing you have never before accessed. Walk through that door tonight. Speak your healing into the darkness. Claim your wholeness in the silence, and watch as your body responds to the commands of a master who has finally learned to speak with authority and faith and love. Your healing awaits you. Your transformation beckons you. Your new life stands ready to receive you, and all that is required is that you wake when you are called, and pray when you are awakened, and believe that what you speak into the sacred darkness will manifest in the light of your waking life.